All right, the initial assessment is kind of good and kind of bad. The fan shroud is like falling off, but we'll pull that off and check for mouse nests anyway, because on these engines, mouse nests is probably one of the worst killers of these. It's got a 009, but it's not in the car. It's got an electronic ignition in it. But the first thing you do is see if it's seized up. It isn't. And it actually feels like it has some compression. So I guess we got to get this distributor put in. Got to figure out a way to get fuel to it. There's no fuel pump. That being open on top makes me nervous that there's water in this engine. There's no dipstick. Cylinder tin is out of place and covering it. So we'll see if there's oil in it. All right, we got the thermostat off the bottom so we could pull the fan shroud off. Now, what I said a minute ago immediately came true. There's a mouse nest in there. So even if the fan shroud wasn't falling off, it's good that we pulled it apart. All right, we put a positive battery cable directly on the starter. We put a temporary negative to the starter bolt because it's the closest to the starter. You want a good ground on that. And this wire is the starter button, or starter circuit, I guess we'll call it. So if we hold this to the positive battery terminal, it should turn that engine over. And we're listening for bangs and clunks and things like that. And let's see what we got here. Found an old mechanical pump that looks pretty fresh. That doesn't mean anything. Connor's bolting that on. I've never had, I know you can do all this with a stock pulley, but I've kind of never had a bug that had a stock pulley on it. So I'm not familiar with the markings and stuff like that. So I got this old degree pulley, and we need that because we're putting the distributor in, and we got to be pretty precise with clocking and things like that. So set the engine at top dead center, and I checked number 1, and both of these rockers are loose. So we verified that that's top dead center of cylinder number 1, and now we use that information to figure out how to orient the distributor. Okay, we got gas.
Might want a little more.
We got some 12 voltages here. Turn it over. It runs. Didn't sound great, but we don't have a constant fuel system set up yet. All right, let's get some fuel to it. All right, this is my temporary engine run stand, which obviously we're not bolted to, but we're using the fuel system here. We got ignition, turn the key. I gotta change this head over here. I kind of hate to say. It would probably be okay if I don't, but the problem is, let me pop that off. Somebody helicoiled it, and they did such a poor job. The plug is actually crooked in there to a point where I can't even get a socket in there to change it. So I'm not happy with that. I don't know if it's sealing or not. So I want to change this head. I think I have a few stockers, and I want to find the source of the puff of smoke over here. When I rev it up, smoke puffs out of this area here. So I don't know if this head isn't torqued right or it's got a torch spot in it or what, but unfortunately, even though we got this running and we're happy, we got to tear it down some more. Pull straight back. Yay! Okay. I didn't video a lot of this because it's very boring stuff, but old head's bad, rebuilt head's good. All right, I moved over to my main stall here. I pulled the buggy over because I'm getting close to putting that engine in the vehicle that it's actually supposed to go in, but I had to pull it over because I got the log lock together, which is great. Now I'm gonna kind of go into thrash mode and try to get this engine back together and running pretty soon. See what happens. Seems like there's more load on that. All right, we found another muffler. This one is a little better of a fit. We got to put a 90 on it of some kind and figure out a better angle. But anyway, it slides directly on, no adapter needed. So let's see how this one sounds. It's tiny, so it probably won't muffle a lot, but we'll see. For now, we just gravity fed into the carburetor. I don't know how well that's going to work because driving around, you know, uneven ground and things might create flow problems, but we're going to try it like this. I'm just going to get it running enough to maybe first gear drive around this yard here. I very temporarily ran wires, just 12 volts out, ignition back, start back, and I got one of these super cheap Tractor Supply keys and took a fender washer and welded it to that board. So we're gonna try it and see what happens. Shut it off. procedure like a old warplane.
I'm so excited because Cam's Spinos watching us.
He's gotta take the jumper cables off.
I never seen Cam Spino watch them.
Ready?
Okay, here we go now.
Don't stall it. All right, not a terribly exciting video, but we're happy to be able to just put it in first gear and actually drive the thing. I have no idea when the last time this drove or if it ever did drive. Maybe it was a unfinished project. It didn't look very completed to me, but yeah, so I think the next thing I'm gonna do is hook up the fuel system for real. I got that funky looking filler neck there, but you don't see any of that. The hood goes over it. And this is the gas tank. I think in one of my previous videos I showed I had to trim the front of the tank down for it to fit under the hood. Brakes for sure, don't got no brakes. And secure those seats and better wiring. And then I think we're gonna start like painting the chassis to start crossing things off the list. Oh, I gotta build a back seat. We just kind of wadded up the blanket there for the kids so they didn't cut themselves on a weld or anything. So fuel system, gotta buy a battery and build the engine cage, trim the body back here because that looks funky, but we're on our way. Till next time.